So that's y'all should already know. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
I love it. That's pretty though. That's like a crimson, Michelle.
It's a burgundy.
I love it. That's cute. And Caprice too. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
We guys, y'all can tell.
I love it. I love it. All right, Robert, let's come on with the intro. I just get excited. I really have these. I'm just so excited to see y'all. I'm so grateful. God is good. I'm trying not to cry.
So when do we share this? When do we?
You can share now. Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, please go to Facebook and share it from Rocky's Reality. Share, like go to the Rocky's Reality Facebook page and you can share the live to your page, please. Thank you, Michelle, for reminding me. Yep, if you go to Facebook on Rocky's Reality Facebook page, we should be live there. And just go ahead, share it, do a watch party or whatever. Thank you.
Oh yeah, there we are. On YouTube.
This is Rocky's Reality.
Either one, but I would say share it from Facebook.
Relationship, life, Black culture.
Or should I just say culture?
Right, that pretty much. More music, educating and entertaining, more Black businesses, more music being made. Sometimes it might get a little 7-Eleven to Beyonce. You can follow Rocky's Reality on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rocky's Reality is now 24 hours of unfiltered and unapologetic conversation.
Everybody silence your phone.
Okay.
I love it. You ladies might want to just turn your phones down.
Yeah.
So we won't get the feedback. So welcome, 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 ladies. I love it. I love the range here. We're so beautiful. All ages and stages. Yeah.
I know, right? All that melanin and all shades and
I
flavors.
love it. That's why I love Black women. Okay. I said, you are part of an elite group, baby. Okay. It ain't nobody like us. Ain't nobody gonna have these curves, these lifts, this hue, our hair. I just love it. Welcome, ladies. I want to really thank each and every one of you for taking our time today. As always, I'm just so grateful that you all are here. This is part 2 of criminal justice reform. But as we know, it's not really a lot of justice, really. So that's the irony. More like criminal legal reform is what we need to change that term to. But this is part 2. I had to, of course, have the ladies back. Shout out to, the ladies on, I should say, the ladies segment. I saved the best for last. Because at first I was like, maybe I'll do ladies first. And I said, no, we're going to say the ladies for last, the best for last. And so shout out to Nicholas Buckingham and the other guys, Dr. Charles Bell, Mike Africa Jr., Darrell Woods Sr., all of those men who Mario Friday, who joined us, and some of them recommended you ladies. So I'm grateful you're here. So I'm going to start with to my top left is Caprice. Welcome, Caprice. Shout out to Gigi.
Yeah, thank you.
Gigi, my best friend, aka my unofficial producer of Rocky's Reality. She referred me to you. So Caprice, we'll get more into everyone's story, but just a quick little snippet. Caprice is a mom from Pontiac, Michigan, right?
Yes.
Okay, bless you. We're currently homeschooling. Check on moms who are homeschooling. We are not okay, everyone. Check on us. Check on us.
We are not okay.
We try to be. We gonna be okay. But Caprice Williams spent how long in jail? You were incarcerated?
A total of a year and a half.
Okay, a year and a half. And so you were a teenager though. You were a baby, pretty
15.
much. You said what?
I was 15 when it first happened, and I was 16 when they sentenced me to Scott's Correctional Facility.
Okay, so you were a baby in there with grown women. Right. And so, yeah, we'll come back to that. And so Michelle was like, yeah, she looks familiar. So we're going to go next to Michelle Pearson. Now we got 2 Michelles, y'all. We got Michelle Pearson and Michelle Smart. So Michelle Pearson was a baby as well when you were incarcerated. And so what age were you when you were 17 when your crime happened? Is that correct, Michelle?
16 when my crime happened, but I was 17 when they sent me to prison.
Okay. Oh, speak up a little bit, Michelle. It's kind of hard to hear you.
I was 16 when I caught my case, but I was 17 when they sent me to prison.
Okay, yeah, that's better. Yep, thank you. Okay, and so how long did you spend incarcerated, Michelle?
I spent exactly 34 years, 5 months, and 2 weeks.
Wow, okay. So it's people, y'all was people who they ain't even lived that long.
Really?
Okay.
Right.
That's a blessing. You know, we have young
A
folks
lifetime. Mhm.
who haven't even, that's actually a lifetime. So bless
Yeah.
you. A salute to all of you ladies. Salute to all of you ladies, because I'm sure it is nothing like what they show on the TV shows like Orange is the New Black and Worthington and all of that. I know it's nothing like that at all. So the next I'm going to move to right below Michelle is Anita Posey, who is also, we'll talk about your organization, Beware, for victims, survivors of domestic violence.
And victims.
Okay, so Anita, you were how old? You were like grown. You were like grown when yours happened.
Yes, I was 40 when I was arrested and sentenced just after I turned 41.
Okay, and you spent how long incarcerated?
Almost 15 years.
Almost 15 years. And I'm glad you three ladies are now out
Yeah.
and back into this crazy world, because we need you. We need you. We need you. And my next three guests are, I'm just gonna keep moving it kind of clockwise here. Michelle Smart. This is Michelle M.I. Michelle Pearson is M.A. So Michelle Smart is the CEO and founder of Bags to Butterflies. And give us a snapshot. Pretty much it's an organization that is needed by women such as Caprice and Michelle and Anita, you know, women like them once they come out and are trying to reintegrate into society. Give us a snapshot of what your organization does, Michelle.
Yep, so thanks, Rocky. So Bags to Butterflies, we are a Detroit-based social enterprise. We empower formerly incarcerated women with transitional employment and resources, and a wonderful caring network to help the ladies on their journey to success immediately upon their return to the community from incarceration. So we're taking what we believe is an innovative approach to create these jobs. We actually make handbags out of repurposed wood. And we selected this material because we wanted to demonstrate how something or someone deemed as having no value, how it can be transformed into someone new and someone beautiful, and how that same transformation can take place in anyone's life with commitment and dedication on their part.
I love it. I love it. You know, you always need a good purse now. You can never have too many purses. And I love the Black History Month designs that the ladies did.
Yes, thank you.
So that's nice. And I see you all like, we're doing some mugs too and masks. Were you doing?
Yes. So because of COVID, we've had to pivot. We are known for our handbags, but you know, we've had to pivot and just become innovative in our approach to kind of meet, you know, our customers where they are. So we have been tapping into some of the talents of the current ladies, and they are very creative. So they are making wonderful T-shirts to celebrate Black History Month, coffee cups, just some really things that are coming. Yeah.
So we'll definitely later on get your information on where they can find that. And I love it. Just like a butterfly, they're going through a metamorphosis.
Yes, very
like
true.
Women do. We have to pivot. We're used to that. I mean, we don't know what it's like not to multitask.
Right, exactly.
Like I have to remember that sometimes when I tell my son something like, "Oh, I know his brain ain't working like that. Hold on, let me slow down."
One at a time.
Chunks. But that's what we do, and I love it. So next, I'm coming to Coach Tanya Bankston. Thank you for joining us. So Coach Tanya Bankston is going to be our Inyala, y'all. She's like the Inyala of the group tonight. So shout out to Tanisha Bestseller Johnson. I met Coach Tanya Bankston at the Red Ink Conference, and she's an author, speaker, life coach. And I just, of course, wanted to invite you to give your insight because you've worked with some women who were formerly incarcerated, in particular, Michelle and Anita. So I thank you again for referring me to Anita and also to Michelle Smart. So just give us a little snapshot of what you do, Coach Tanya.
Well, first I want to say thank you for allowing me to be here. It's because of Michelle Smart that I know Michelle Pearson and Anita Posey, and I'm just so honored. I've learned so much from these ladies, and they have enriched my life. I have learned that I need to be a student so that I can better accommodate my clients, and these ladies have been phenomenal. In my program, Pathways to Flight, I was able to actually tailor make my coaching program to help the ladies assimilate and re-entry and, reacclimate themselves to the community based on their needs, based on what they shared with me. So it's just been a pleasure to work with them. And like Michelle, she keeps touch with me like all the time. She's always like, Coach, what do you think about this? And truly my life has been changed by that.
Oh, I'm grateful, right? I love it. So that kind of reminds me of, because my 9 to 5 is a trainer, a child welfare trainer. So I train CPS, foster care, and adoption workers. And I love when they teach me. I love when they teach me things, and I encourage them to say, hey, you're new to this job, but you're not new to life. So come on, let's have conversations, let's exchange information. So I love that when the student and the teacher, I really feel like that's a best beneficial, because, and you said something too that reminded me of, even as a writer and editor, I'm always looking for something, some book or some type of workshop or something to hone my skills so that I can stay on top of it. So, and that's just that staying humble to know that you don't know everything.
Absolutely.
And you can always learn more and enhance and improve. So
absolutely.
I love that. I love that. So last but not least, I love it. So I want to say shout out to, I think it was Tabitha Rasul who referred me to you, Desiree. So Desiree is a PI, y'all. She's a PI, pretty much, of Sunshine Investigations. So pretty much, Desiree, you help people to help them to try to not be incarcerated. Absolutely. When they're going through their court process. So you have a lot of insight on the legal system and a lot of the dynamics and ins and outs. So give us a snapshot of what you do.
Right. Okay. So I am the chief investigator and the owner of Sunshine Investigations. And as Rocky just said, the bulk of my work is trial investigation, but a lot of it is also post-conviction and appellate work. So I have the experience to work to prevent you from being convicted and sentenced. And then I also work on the other end to help you fight on appeal and post-conviction issues.
I love it. So which takes a lot of time and money and devotion. So I want to welcome all the ladies again. And so I first want to give everyone a snapshot of everyone's story. And so I want to ask Caprice, and then I'll move to Michelle and Anita. As the women, because like Coach Tanya, Michelle Smart, and Desiree and I, we've worked with women who've encountered this, but we haven't been those women. So we can never fully understand what you all have endured. So I do commend you for being at the point that you are now. So tell me, what is life like after, now that you, because we know in there that there are some inhumane and insanitary conditions, and we'll get more into that. But I want to talk about, since you've been released, and for you, Caprice, you've been out longer, of course, but what is life like reintegrating into the community after you've been incarcerated? And I'll start with Caprice and move on to Michelle and Anita.
I would say for me, I had a good support system. And if you don't have a support system, you're in trouble. So I had a really good support system. My family really rallied around me because I was 17 and a half when I came back home and was really in, we call it back in the world. And having that support system was the main thing. Now, being in Pontiac, back home here in Pontiac was a whole nother story. Like, you know, I had people in my own family who felt like I came home too soon. It was too soon for me to be here. You had people who didn't want me here, who were still upset because of what had taken place. So I had to deal with our society, so to speak. And that was the hard part. Me being as young as I was, I had the opportunity to either go back to high school or accept my GED, because I did have the GED, and go ahead and go to college. And because I had so many problems in high school, I knew it wasn't going to work for me. So I decided to go ahead and go to college. And I started my life that way. I went to school and focused on my education.
And you know, you're not the first who said that college has pretty much saved their life. You know, a lot of people have escaped the college to escape whatever was happening in their lives.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad that happened, that you were like, okay, let me step away from this. So right quick, Caprice, what was the crime for which you served time?
It was originally, the charge was open murder, and then they dropped it to second-degree murder, and they gave me a plea deal of voluntary manslaughter. So I went to prison for a year and a half. Well, I was sentenced to a year and a half to 15 years, but I had already served 8 months in the Children's Village. So they gave me that 8 months time served. So I went to Scott's Correctional Facility, and I was there for about 4.5 to 6 months. And then from there, I went to the halfway house. So I ended up taking a plea deal of voluntary manslaughter.
Okay, and so thank God you didn't have to serve an extensive amount of years in there. You still had much of your life.
And you know why? It was because Michigan has a real thin line for what is called self-defense. And because I was defending myself, and the law was so, and it still is, to this day, we don't have a true self-defense law. So that's why they had to sentence me with they had to give me some type of time. And that's why they sentenced me to the 1.5 to 15, you know, and gave me the plea deal of voluntary manslaughter.
Okay. So let's put a pin in that. Let me move on. Let's move. Thank you, Caprice.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Child, because I remember working with some of my teens and them having to go to facilities with adults. It's like, you still a baby, and that can only just, in a way, worsen things as far as you seeing stuff too soon. But we'll come back to how you were saying, actually, you were blessed. So people were watching over you, similar to what Anita's story. So Michelle, what is it like? And you've been out since 2018?
Yes.
Okay. So it's only 3 years later, so you still are fresh to this. So what is life like?
I can't say it's been all tears, and I can't say it's been all roses. You know, my brother and his kids helped me reacclimate. My first job, who I love, adore, had mad respect and admiration for, was through Michelle Smart with Bags of Butterflies. I learned a lot between her and Coach Bankston coming there talking to us, and the exercise class she had. It really has, it's been some struggles, but there's no struggles, because my mantra has always been that I refuse to become a product of any environment that I'm in. That environment will become a product of me.
Oh,
so
okay. I love that. Yeah, spoken like a true queen.
Yeah,
that's how queens talk.
That I will not allow the world to change my smile. I keep a smile on my face, even in the midst of chaos. You know, I'm gonna change the world with my smile. They can't change mine. So I say that to say, I know that I'm blessed. And then I have an unshakable faith. And I think I told Mother Posey and Michelle that inside I was a warrior. I came out here fighting, and I became an innovator, motivator, and I demand to move this earth, and I won't stop until I get what I get. So I can't say it's a struggle. I'm blessed. I have my first home, my first car. I worked at Ford, so I'm blessed.
I love it. I love it. So what was your crime? Give us a snapshot of the crime that brought you, that resulted in your incarceration.
I was originally charged with murder in the first degree, possession of a felony firearm, and armed robbery. They vacated my armed robbery and charged me with first degree murder and possession of a felony firearm. At a very young age, I met my co-defendant, who is 5 years older than me. I was raising my then 6-year-old brother, who is a phenomenal young man now. I was given the choice to go with them to commit a robbery or they would kill my brother. So I made a decision to take my little brother to my cousin, and I chose to go with them. Unfortunately, a life was taken. But I made a conscious decision to keep a promise I made to my mom, which was to protect my younger sister and brother. I regret that a life was taken, but I also saved a life from what I felt, because I was already being abused and he was seeing that. So, yeah.
Right. I love it. So for you, Anita, you've been out about 3 years as well. Is that correct?
No, I've been out since 2012.
Okay. So almost 10. Okay. You're gonna come up on that 10-year anniversary next year, okay?
Yep, 9 years will be in 3 days. I got out on February 7th.
I love it. So what has it been like for you?
Well, considering the fact that I went in at a much older age than most of the ladies, I was 40 years old. I'd already established a career with the state of Michigan and owned a home, raised one child to college, knew how to do household finances and nutrition and all that type of thing. It wasn't that difficult for me to fall back in. My drawback came with technology. I was locked up in 97 when they had those big heavy cell phones. So when I
still had dial up and we were still using the disc.
Yeah, there was no Wi-Fi. Yeah, we were using floppy disks and all of that. So I had to come a very long way, and I thank God that I still have my right mind, where I could absorb and learn these things.
Say that.
So when the ladies come out of prison, they contact me, and I can walk them through some things. Whether it's in person or through a Zoom call or a Facebook message call. And I take pure pleasure in seeing that light bulb come on, when they've got it. And then when they get their wings, and I, push them on out the nest and make room for the next one.
Right. I love it. And so I did watch the Twisted, your segment of the Twisted Storytellers. For those who are familiar, Twisted Storytellers is an event that happens here in Detroit. Is it Saturi Shakur? Is her name? Shout out to her for that. Hopefully I can be up on that stage telling my story one day. Shameless plug. But so wait a minute. So Anita, you shot him 3 times?
Yes.
In the head?
Yes.
You a G, Anita.
It wasn't intentional, trust me. I was shocked when I found out it was 3 times.
So my husband, I was like, look here. Listen to this lady. But no, I'm just kidding. But I'm like, geez, you were serious about it. But so tell me, but I can see, like, as a mother, after he harmed your child, it's like a switch goes off.
Oh yeah.
Any of us who have children or have nieces and nephews know you be like a mother bear when it comes to your child, especially the smaller and more vulnerable they are. So give us a snapshot of what happened to cause your incarceration, Anita.
Well, this one particular night, after 7 years of continued domestic violence, sexual violence, emotional, all of that, this one night, he got tested because I didn't turn on a light for him fast enough. And he came upstairs and pushed me, knocked me down, punched me, and then told me that he was going to bed to take a nap because he was regrettably, I had went along with him selling drugs to supposedly just his friends for a short period of time. And he was going to buy some drugs that night, but he was wanted to take a nap. So on his way back to the bedroom, the baby was coming out and he shoved him aside, which made him run into a wall. For a 13-month-old baby, that's quite traumatizing. And when I scooped him up and checking him for injury and asking him, why did you do that to the baby? What's wrong with you? He just threw his hand over his shoulder like, so what? And I was befuddled. I didn't know what was going on.
The switch went off. The switch went off.
Yeah, well,
At that moment,
took
the
some
switch
more.
was like,
It took some more. It took some more, but I was on my way.
Mm.
And I happened to be PMSing and perimenopause at the time. So that was a dangerous situation. And then he said, I do whatever I want to whoever I want in this house, and whoever don't like it, that's too damn bad. And then later told me that if I didn't have his dinner done when he got up, he was gonna beat my ass again. And that's when I looked towards the kitchen, and before my eyes could focus on the pot that I was cooking his dinner in, it fell on that gun on the shelf. And I just picked it up, walked to the bedroom, put it to his head and shot him. But he sat up, cussing me out. And I swung around.
After you shot him?
Yeah, after I shot him.
He was still talking?
Yeah, it was a 22. So
He was crazy too, though.
yeah, he was.
Crazy people be hard to kill.
Yeah, he was
It's
strong.
like that, just like in the movies, it be hard. Lord, rest his soul, forgive me. I'm just saying. So he sat up still talking.
Set up, cussing me out, and I swung around. I don't know what all I said, but I was pointing at him with the same hand I had the gun in. And that's when I must have shot him the second and third time, because I wasn't aware that I had done that until I got to court. And where I really went wrong was because of the fear, and you know the Bible says fear has torment. I was afraid of what his family would do to me. And I called somebody and had them help me move the body to a vacant lot and said he was missing. 30 days later, the person that helped me, I guess thought I was gonna get some money or something. I don't know. They had people call the police department, an anonymous call, say where they could find a dead body, blah, blah, blah. They found him. I stuck to my story that he was going to Detroit to buy drugs, and that was it. And they chalked it up to a drug deal gone bad. Well, 3 years later, his family had the Lansing police reopen the investigation, and it was an on again, off again situation. And every time they would contact my friends or family, they would contact me. And I had gotten saved at this time, you know, right after it happened. So I'm saved for 3 years. I prayed, Lord, please.
Right, you done repented and
yeah, you know,
like, you know.
I knew I had broke one of the big 10. I was on my way to hell, but then I found out about salvation. I knew I didn't have to. So I prayed, Lord, please make it stop. I can't keep going with this. I'm supposed to be a Christian. I'm lying every time somebody calls me and talks about this. So I said, I won't be afraid, because your word says that you'll never leave me nor forsake me. But if I have to go away, please don't make it for a long time. My baby was 5 at that time. Well, 20 days after I prayed that prayer, the individual that helped me got into trouble with the police. And by their way out of it, they told them they knew something about a murder. 20 days after that, they came and got me. I exercised my right to remain silent. Trust me. Because, you know, the burning bed, I was thinking about that. The attorney that I had finally gotten was a prosecutor on a burning bed case. And that was from the same county, up in Lansing, Eaton County. So I thought my chances were pretty good. And so did he. But he also thought it was going to be a high profile case that would get him a lot of publicity. And when he saw that it wasn't turning out that way, he kind of threw me to the wolves. They also charged me with open murder. But he convinced me to plead guilty to second-degree murder, where I could get a sentence with some years to it rather than life without parole. And he told me I would be looking at maybe 5 to 15, 3 to 10, something like that. I said, oh, okay, all right then, I can do that, because with good behavior, surely, I'm not going to be a problem. I'll be out 3 to 5 years. But when I went in the courtroom, the judge says he was going to give me 22 to 50. And I'm thinking, months?
Right.
Inflicted what? But he says because of the letters that he got from my coworkers and supervisors and neighbors and all of this about the ongoing abuse, plus there were 11 police records of me filing charges, and he got locked up quite a few times. He said, I believe this was an abusive relationship, an ongoing one. And I'm going to knock 5 years off. So I'm going to give you 17 to 50 years in prison. Now, there I was, 41 years old, had never been in trouble with the law before in my life, before or since. And I had no understanding, but I said, you know what? At least this is behind me. Whoever said confession is good for the soul knew what they was talking about, because it felt like a rhino or
Right.
elephant
Yeah.
had been lifted
I'm
off.
sure.
So I said, okay, I'll go on in here and I'll sit in the corner and read my Bible, which of course that didn't happen either. As you see, Michelle calls me Ma Posey. They call me Mother Posey, Ma Posey, Mama Posey, whatever, because they called on me quite a bit, not just the women, but the staff as well. Because I was a mature woman. I was a woman of God years before I came in there. I didn't find Jesus when I got in there. So I didn't have this mishmash of doctrine bouncing around in my head. I was already firmly grounded and rooted. And I was a mature woman. We're halfway good sense.
Right.
And I think the whole time that I was in there, I raised my voice 5 times during 15 years. And trust me, I had reason to do so many other times, but I used restraint.
You got patience. You gotta have patience.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. So we're gonna come back a little bit to what it was like being in there, but I want to ask Desiree and Michelle and Tanya to speak on what have been some of your experiences. Just some of I want to ask Michelle to give us some stats. Michelle Smart to give us some stats on one of the things I saw just blew my mind that I read too, how the prison women's population is like increasing at an exponential rate, how women spend longer for the less severe crimes, like crimes that don't have major, egregious effect. They're spending more time being sentenced to more time for those crimes than men are, and how the women's prison population has grown 700% since, the early 2000s, the early part?
Early 80s.
The early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
So, but still, over the span of 40 years. So talk a little bit about some things that you all have observed in working with women who've been incarcerated.
So our experience through the Axe to Butterflies, the women who have come to our program were incarcerated for decades. So coming home, everything is, they say they're coming back to the world or a new world. Everything is new for them. Technology has changed, their neighborhoods have changed, everything that they knew when they went to prison is totally different now. So just like Anita said, technology, training the ladies to use a cell phone. One of our ladies, we went to pick up some supplies. We were actually in Home Depot, and she was so excited. She's like, I saw this on TV, but I've never been to Home Depot. She was very excited about being in a place with so much equipment and all these wonderful things. So it's just amazing. But yeah, you're correct. Since the early 80s, the number of incarcerated women has increased over like 700%, right? And then they said that pregnant women are forced to give birth in shackles, endangering both them and their children. Most women in prison are sexual assault survivors, yet male guards strip them and supervise them in showers. I don't know if that's still the case, no. Michelle, Anita, that's not the case now, but those were some of the stats that they said 80% of women in prison are mothers, yet they are sent hundreds of miles away from their families. Yeah. So there are a lot of disparities and things that we've noticed when the women come home, just integrating with their families. They've been away a long time. They're expecting their families to embrace them where they are today, and not all do. So, our organization, we're like a family. We encourage the ladies to, let go of the past, and it's baby steps, but when they come and they interview with us, we don't know why they went, we don't ask. Eventually they'll share with us why they went, but we want to know what you want to do from this point forward, and we try and help and direct them in that respect.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And so I'll come to you, Coach Tanya, and then I want to ask Desiree. We spoke about being a woman in her industry as a private eye, because that comes with its own set of dynamics. So, Coach Tanya, what did you want to add to that?
Well, one of the things I want to add is how when women are finally released from prison, how they're released and the resources are not there. They're so far lacking in terms of just simple things like finding housing. It's almost impossible to find housing as a woman who has been incarcerated. And then mental health care. I mean, clinically speaking, 12 million women in the United States every single year experience clinical depression, right? We're not taking into account what the mental health status is for this woman who has been incarcerated. Now she's integrating back into society. She can't get the necessary resources to help her find housing, the necessary resources to help her find employment. And she's expected by her parole officer or probation officer to just jump back in and be a part of.
And they might have restitution to pay.
Right, restitution to pay. We're talking about even a simple ID, just ID. They're told, take your prison card and go to the Secretary of State and get your ID. It doesn't work like that at all.
No,
I mean, so
you gotta have one of those vital records, at least a birth certificate or a social security card.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, and then how do you keep someone incarcerated in what is a 6x8 cell for X amount of years and then release them and then say, okay, go out and be successful? What does that mean when you've already set the cards against them not to be successful? You know, where's the employment opportunities? Where's the housing opportunities? Where's the opportunities to be provided with someone who can adequately say, okay, let's talk about your incarceration.
Right.
Or what about your children? Your children, you know, your relationship, restoring that relationship with your children because they felt abandoned all those years.
Right.
So it's a whole lot of issues that are not dealt with before they release and then after their release.
So, well, I want to say thank you to Desiree for being one of the ones. And Michelle Pearson, I'm going to come back to you and we're going to talk a little bit more about what happened to you and related to your son. So Desiree, as a female PI, what are some things you have encountered and you've observed in working in the criminal justice system or the criminal legal system, we should say? Because you work nationwide too. You're based in Detroit, but you like, I would go to Colorado, I go here and there. I'm like, okay. So what are some things you see?
Pretty much what the ladies on your panel have discussed, especially with the women and the charges that they have been charged with, the circumstances around them usually always are related to a man in some way, shape, form, fashion, something, whether it's abuse, I was holding his gun, I was transporting his drugs. It's almost always some kind of male influence around female charges and incarceration. And I think it's Michelle Pearson who was saying that not only was, you know, these group of men, I think they were men, but also with her situation, she was also younger than the co-defendants and everyone involved. So that's, you know, again, something across the board that I'm seeing. And in my
was being abused, like Anita
Absolutely.
and Michelle were both being abused. Right.
Yeah.
In a way, and in a way, Caprice was being abused too, but not by a man, but you were being bullied and beat up by girls in your neighborhood. So it's like some type of violence.
And then for Mother Posey with her partner, when she finally reacted to that, her reaction didn't stop it. Like even after this man was shot, he continued to antagonize her, right? So what is there left?
Smack.
Yeah, so in that moment, I've shot you one time and you're still coming at me. So my instinct may be to shoot you another 2, 3, 4 times. So it's that kind of stuff.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but no, and when you're in that moment and your child is involved, right?
Right.
And so that's what I'm seeing. My numbers in my casework with women aren't necessarily increasing because the truth of the matter is, even though they may, men commit crimes at a higher rate than women do. So I'm not in my casework necessarily seeing an increase in women clients, but what I am seeing is that almost all of my female and women clients, there is that male influence. And like I said, whether it's abuse, manipulation, control, that's always a component of it.
And what is, I don't know where it's from. It's line in the movie. It's like, woman, child ain't safe no more. You know, it's like from the time you 12 years old or older. It's like 9. Right. It's not younger, right? You have to worry about some boundaries being broken. You're being violated, being objectified. That's just a whole different caveat that women have when it comes to them being incarcerated. And Michelle Pearson, you tell us about your son and what happened to you as far as being when it comes to sexual assault while you are incarcerated.
It's an emotional topic for me, but and
I mean, if you don't want to share it, you don't have to. We can
keep
moving. Okay, but and if you need to take a moment to dab and get it together, it's all good.
I got this. August 1st of 95, I was actually rushed to the University of Michigan Hospital. I was paralyzed from my eyes down. I have what is called myasthenia gravis, which affects African-American people more than anyone, but it's very rare.
Myasthenia gravis.
Yes.
Okay.
At the time, male staff were transporting us from the facility to the hospital, and they were in care of watching us. Well, during my stay there, I had to be put on machines and given artificial plasma and go through physical therapy and all that. One guard, which I can say his name now, Thomas Robinson, was the guard in charge of sitting with me. And I should have known from my instinct that it was trouble, because when he came into my room, he was extremely loud on a cell phone, and I just rolled over and rolled back over like, oh God, help me. I had been up walking maybe 2 days. I went in the bathroom, was standing in front, I took my shower, was standing in front of the little sink because I was able to braid my hair at that time, which was really long, which is another reason I keep it cut now. But my bathroom door opened and he came in. Mind you, I'm connected to an IV pole, bag and all. And he put me up on the sink and put my legs under his arms and commenced to rape me. When he was done, he looked at me and said, bitch, your pussy was better than my wife's. Wiped himself off, went and sat in my room. All I could say was, I told my doctors, I want to go. I'm ready to go back to the prison. Oh, they didn't know why, but they realized that I wasn't sleeping in my hospital bed. I was actually sleeping in my therapy chair, which stretches out, which was putting a barrier between me and him, because he was in the chair by the door. Here's my bed. I was actually on the other side. I took my last treatment. When I got back, I talked to a couple of lifers that was there at the time, which was Mary Succi and Patty Trevino. And they walked me through this. Bonita Hall, who's been home for years now, she actually was the one got me in touch with the attorneys. And I went to who was the deputy at the time, because our inspector back then didn't want to hear it. I was called everything but my number, my name, and you name it. So when I went to Deputy Smith and told him I had been raped, He immediately shut the prison down. They had me tested, came back positive. They gave me everything I needed, but I endured
It came
because
back positive for what?
me being pregnant.
Okay.
Hey, being pregnant.
He get mad, somebody done hurt his mama. Sure.
Somebody too close to the house.
That's
Mama.
right.
They shut the prison down. They did everything they had to do. They tested me, made sure I didn't have no STDs. Thank God I didn't. When I went to Deputy Smith and told him who it was, he called the men's facility and said, I have a young lady here, our baby lifer, as he called me, Olive Oil, who has reported a sexual assault by this officer. Well, unbeknownst to him, they had shook the officer's locker down. I guess they were shaking their lockers down for contraband every so often. This man literally had taken all of my personal information from people of moral support, my family, and had it in his locker. So she already knew, she just hadn't reached out. The end result was I went into labor. I gave birth to my now 24-year-old son, who is phenomenal. He was taken away from me last time I seen him. He was 5. They did a phenomenal job with him. I mean, he's a college boy. He's in a fraternity. He's traveled to different countries. He does music. He works at Quicken Loan. I mean, this baby has had a life that I probably could not have given him. In the beginning, I was angry, mother instinct. But as I got older and realized, I never knew when I was coming home. So to this day, I thank God for saving my baby and putting him in a home where he grew up to be a phenomenal young man. Even though he was a product of rape, he could have been out here stealing, robbing, killing, and been in the system.
Right.
Not. I got to meet him during the summer, so I thank God for that. As a woman that was raped in prison, I have issues with men. I do.
Wait a minute, what happened to Thomas? Did he serve time or something?
He pleaded no contest to the rape. They dropped it to a misdemeanor and they gave him 2 years probation because I was a convicted murderer.
So whose baby is it then?
It's the guards. We
Absolutely.
did the DNA and it blew the Richter up 99.999.
He got 2 years probation?
Yeah, he basically pleaded guilty to raping me, and Washtenaw County gave him 2 years probation because I was an inmate and he was a upstanding guard. But it came out later I was not the first female he had molested.
So is he still free?
Yeah. Before I came,
Thomas Robinson, y'all take note. We need to make a call to the homies.
I already wrote it on my hand. I wrote his name on my hand. I will keep an eye out.
I did file a lawsuit.
That's a perfect example right there.
Yeah. I actually filed a lawsuit against him, and the attorneys that did it severally and jointly, but they wanted him to pay it. A very honorable judge in the federal court who's over a lawsuit I have pending now awarded me over $500,000. They can't find him. The state refused to pay it. He has not paid it. But I feel like it's not about the money. It's about the morality and the emotional stability.
Right.
And the healing that I still have to deal with because
Because like you say, you have issues with men. Of course.
You don't walk up on me. You don't raise your voice at me because my first instinct is to retaliate. So I do have anger issues in that area, but I'm learning to outgrow them more. I'm learning that, like Ms. Mother Posey said, I knew God before I went in, so I know what my faith is about. So a matter of fact, I reached out to Coach Bankston because I was at a low point with my PTSD in that area. And she just came to my heart and I was like, Coach, you need to hear this song, and it's called Angels Watching Over Me by Virtue. Just felt a connection with her, and I was like, you need to listen to this because that, and when I'm going through, I put that in. It's a song called Deliver Me by Jessica Reedy. And she says in the beginning, she needs him to deliver her because all she do is cry and hurt herself. She continues to hurt herself. And that song ministers to me and it heals me. So, I'm not just a former lifer or a baby lifer that survived rape in prison. I have survived incest. I have survived ancestral rape in my family, as well as a couple of my siblings. And the things that I endured through relatives including my stepdad, who climbed in the bed with me 2 weeks after I buried my mom, who died in my arms when I was 10. It made me the strong woman I am today. I came out and I made a promise to the ladies I will be that voice that cannot be heard. And I speak every chance I get because they deserve better than what they're getting. When we come out, we deserve the utmost help that we can get, things that I didn't get. And I want to see them have it. And as long as God puts breath in my body, I will continue to fight for prison reform, mental health, therapy, housing. You know, if I'm blessed, I want to get houses to house these women. I have a vision and a dream, and God's will, I will accomplish it.
Yes.
It is stopping me.
Yes. Amen. Church. Amen. The testimony from the test. Okay.
Can I jump in really
Michelle.
quick? Michelle,
I'm so angry for you. I'm just like the chills. I'm so just, oh my God. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Desiree.
I'm angry, but that angry fuels my passion.
I know. We gotta direct it. I'm
right.
sad too. I'm just really sad. Just like, but I'm also inspired. I'm also inspired by you. So, and I'm grateful for you sharing those details of your story. I'm grateful. Thank you.
I'm honored to be able to share it.
Go ahead,
Michelle,
Desiree.
did you? Yeah, I was gonna ask Michelle. Did you say he can't be found?
Mhm.
Oh, we'll talk.
Okay. Well, before I came home, an officer that was really cool with me said that last she knew, he was married to her mom and had left the state and went to Indiana. We don't know where or how, but he never registered on the sex offenders registration like he was supposed to.
I love it.
Indiana.
You that's right away. That's a hop, skip, and a jump, right?
Honey.
Okay. We got you.
Mm-hmm.
See, but Rocky, can I add this?
You and Desiree about to exchange information. I love it. See, look at God. See how you bring divine order. God bring people together.
I love it. As Black women, though, Michelle says something that triggered me, because as Black women, we should be protected.
Mm-hmm.
We should be provided for. We should not be preyed upon, period. And the fact that she was serving time, he didn't get any time.
Right.
There is the exact case scenario about how women spend more time in prison for sentences. And then when you talk about the juvenile lifers, now science is confirming that a teenager's brain is not fully developed until the age of 25.
Right. Yep. And they till they in their 20s. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So all of this time that they spend in prison and then only to come out to get nothing, no support, no resources.
Right.
I mean, really?
They probably still at that same age mentally.
Exactly. You are at the same
They
age.
at the same age mentally and emotionally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. State.
Can I say this?
And that point of us not being protected, again, back to what Michelle was saying, and that's why I asked, well, whose baby is it? How can he be allowed to plead guilty to anything less than rape? We have an inmate who was in your charge, sir, and she had a baby. So
And clearly,
even if she would have said yes to this CO,
you were in a
because
position of power.
structure.
Yes.
It's not consensual.
That's still CSC. That's still, you were in a position of power over her.
Can I respond to Desiree on that? When he went to court, the prosecutor said, because my information was found in his locker, they argued that it was—
That's your boyfriend?
Yeah, that we had a relationship. I had never seen this man a day in my life.
No, it doesn't matter though. He still had a and that's part of the I think the dynamics of criminal sexual conduct. If you're someone like, if you're a teacher or someone who's of authority over someone,
That's right.
that's
They're
see,
told
again,
that when
it's a
they're hired in.
male-dominated system.
You're told that when they're hired in, if they have sex with an inmate,
It's immoral and it's illegal and it's but that's okay. We're gonna get that right on the
condition
case.
of their employment. When they're hired in, they're told.
That's right. Hit me up. I'll sponsor whatever you. We gonna get a cash. We gonna get the cash app and GoFundMe.
We don't need no sponsors. We got it.
we gonna get because we gonna find Mr. Thomas. And see, that's why
We
he went
got
into hiding, because you know you a scoundrel. But
Mhm.
God, that's all right. That's okay. So
I
I
can't
want
lie,
to.
when he came home, I said, I can't lie and say I don't have no ill feelings with him, because I do. And
You
I
should.
always said, if
I
I
have
ever
ill
crossed
feelings,
my
and it
path,
wasn't
I
even
would literally spit in this man's face, because you degraded me. You
Mhm.
made me relive some things in my life that I shouldn't have had to relive. And what really made me angry, I was telling Coach Bankston, and Michelle knows, since I've been home, I'm connected with CFSY, which is the
CFS one. Okay.
yeah, it's the Committee for Fair Sentencing of Youth. Okay.
Okay.
And they're phenomenal. I'm also with Michigan Liberation. I'm their justice advisor. Imagine that, for juvenile lifers. But I reached out for therapy through the MDHHS. I had a man therapist, even though I wasn't comfortable. So they end up giving me a young sister that was supposed to be my therapist. Well, we know how the towers, the 5G, whatever that is, do. Because I was able to meet with her a couple of Zooms, she actually cut me off. So me coming home, you knowing just from the couple of meetings we had, the trauma that I'm dealing with, me being diagnosed with PTSD, and me having the issues that I have and needing someone to vent to, you slammed the door in my face. So
Wow.
it's like, where do I go? If I didn't have Michelle and Coach Basie, which I know I got Mother Posey, but I don't bother her. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I'm a grown woman that can do this. I got this. You know, but God blesses me because my neighbor took me in, who's very spiritual. She's very rooted. And she talks me through a lot of things that I never even.
Because we're not an island. We still need help, even though we grown, Michelle. Shoot, I done told my mama, like, look here, I'm gonna need you to behave and do what you need to do so you can stay alive a little longer, because I still need you, even though I'm in my 40s. Like we all need someone. No one is an island. We do more together.
Right.
So I'm glad that, and I hope you all can connect and stay connected after this, and I know I will still stay connected with you all as well. But while I want to kind of shift a little bit and talk about as far as being a mother and how it has affected you all as mothers, because that has to be heartbreaking not to be able to see your child, see them, do their first walk, see them, go to kindergarten, to middle school, to high school, their first boyfriend, their first girlfriend, and just also your parenting style too. I'm sure it's affected those of you who have been able to be in contact with your children. It's been hard to parent your child with that extra layer. So I want to start with Caprice, because you have 2 children. Is it 2? 2. And so how was it? And even though you didn't have them while you were incarcerated, this was far after you were incarcerated, but how has that experience affected you as a mother?
I want to start by saying that the people in Pontiac, they have a tendency to want to bring you down at any way, in any way that they can. And what happened to me was a couple of people tried to tell my children that I had killed someone, not knowing that I had already communicated with my children, because I had a feeling something like that was going to happen. So, my kids, they are 15, one is 15, the other one is 12. And it's kind of hard because I'm a divorced parent at that. And I'm dealing with a man who doesn't really interact with his boys whatsoever. It's just a whole nother beast.
Right, because you can be a mama, but it's hard. You being a man, it's a different thing, right? Yeah.
I have to tell you, if it wasn't for my mother, I don't know how I would survive. I don't know how I would survive as a parent. I really don't. My mother is my backbone, and I go to her for everything, and even in conversations. And Mom, how do you think I should handle this? How should I talk to them about this? And I tried parenting in my own way, where my mother parented me in her own way. So I don't try to do things as how my mother did. And, I always tell her that, and I remind them, if I was my mama, see, your head would be knocked off by now. But I just try to talk to them and I try to communicate with them because I realize violence is not the answer. I realize, whooping them is always not the answer. So parenting for me has been, it's been tough. It's been tough. I also suffer with PTSD, depression, anxiety. So they see me at my lowest, and they also see me at my highest because I've been diagnosed with being bipolar. So I have these episodes where sometimes I'm happy and sometimes I'm sad, and they see it all, and they go through the motions with me. They know when to just step away and just let their mom just deal with mom. And it's so funny you said no man is an island. My mother used to tell me that all the time. Capri, no man is an island. No man is an island. But I don't know if I answered your question. Oh my Lord.
Well, no, you have. What it's been like for you as a mom, how that's affected your parenting. But I mean, but like you said, you had already had a discussion with them. So to have to address it with them when someone else brings it up, I'm sure that's been difficult. And like, how have you handled like when they get bullied? Because you being bullied led to you, and the snapshot is that you led to you stabbing the girl, and you didn't mean to kill her, but because you have been bullied and beat up. So how how's that been for you? Them times where somebody's bullying your sons, or
you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I put my kids in different school districts to keep them from that. I was trying to shield them from going through what I went through. And I kind of felt like they wouldn't be able to survive in the jungle. That's what I called Pontiac Northern, the jungle. I'm like, you guys would not survive the jungle.
Right.
So I put them out in West Bloomfield School District starting off. And my high school baby, he's at Brother Rice currently. So I just felt like I had to shield them from that, because I didn't think they would be able to survive it. So thank God, you guys, I have not had to experience them being bullied. Well, I take that back. My younger boy, he was bullied, but he didn't tell me. He never told me until one day, I got to show off. I wrote a book, and I was sitting in the lab, as I call it. I was writing my book, and he was like, Mom, what you doing? I was like, I'm writing my book. I'm writing a book. He was like, I want to write a book. I got to show off again. So I said, well, go over there. I gave him some paper and a pencil. I said, go over there and think about.
He wrote that?
He wrote this.
Okay. Oh, the bully.
I said, think about something that's happening in the world. Leave me alone. And he came up with this title, The Bully. And it's actually about a boy who was the bully. He wrote about the bully and what the bully went through, and how the kids rallied around the bully and, wanted him to stop being mean. But anyway, I didn't realize my son was being bullied at that time because he never communicated with me about it. He handled it on his own. And he didn't handle it through fighting. He handled it through talking to the teachers and just work through it with the students. And that was it. And I didn't find out until 2 years later when he wrote this book that he had actually been bullied. And I was so mad at him because he didn't tell his mama. I'm like, why didn't you tell me?
Because he knew you would have been up at that school.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care what school district they go to, Black mama's gonna be up at the school.
Right.
Yes. Like I told the one the principal at my son's school, you handle it or I will. I don't want to have to come up here and show out, okay? I will not. I understand the chain of command, and I'm gonna respect that. But when my child is coming here, I want you to act like he your baby.
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to hear about my child being harassed, and my daughter too. So my husband done had to talk me off the cliff many a times. You said what?
No, I said you want them protected. They go to school to learn.
Right, exactly. So what about for so thank you, Caprice. What about for you, Anita? I know you have 2 sons as well.
When I was arrested, a few days after I was arrested, my oldest graduated with his master's from U of M. And I was heartbroken that I couldn't be there, but God gave me so much favor that the guards allowed him to come see me in the county jail with his cap and gown and kindergarten.
Oh.
That was a blessing. Now, my youngest son was 5 when I went in, and he had not yet started school because his birthday was in January. So I missed that. I missed his graduation, his prom. He went to another girl's prom. I missed that. But I did get pictures. Now, my oldest son came to see me practically every week, and we only had like 5 visits a month. So I had to ask him to not come see me so often so my other friends could come sometimes.
So they put a limit on your visit. They put a limit on your visitors.
Yeah, and when I first went in, I was in close custody level 4, and there were 5 visits a month. And when I went to medium, there were 7 visits. So I had to tell them, you know, some people want to come see me, but they can't because you taking up all my visits.
Because you here every day.
I appreciate it. And he would come to see me on Mother's Day and Christmas. And I told him, baby, don't do that. There's so many people come on Mother's Day and all of that. Don't waste your time. You'll be sitting out there waiting for hours. But he was so hard-headed. He made sure he noticed.
Loved his mother. What you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't want him, you know, he's 15 years, that's a long time to do that.
Yeah.
My youngest son, I saw him a couple months after I first went in, and then he was staying with his natural father because the guy whose life I took was not his father. And his stepmother decided that since she grew up with a mother incarcerated, that wouldn't be good for her. And I'm like, that's not you. And I'm not your man. So I didn't get to see him for 2 years and 2 months until I got a phone call from Protective Services saying that he was removed from the home for excessive discipline. Now I'm already in prison for
Right. So I must have feel knowing your baby is being abused and you not there.
Right. So, you know, I gave him a phone call and told him, be lucky I can't climb the fence. Okay. So they placed him with my oldest son, but once they went to parenting classes and see that the rub was they took their 6-month-old baby out of the home too. Because you know, you take one child, you take them all.
Exactly.
And they weren't too happy with that. So they went to parenting class and they jumped through all the hoops that they had to jump through. And my son and their baby was returned to them. Well, they had told my son to call them whenever, if ever they did it again. And they did, and he did. So it was a back and forth thing. I would attend hearings on the phone from Control Center. They put me in this little closet, locked me in there with phone. And ultimately, his father called my son and said, do you want your brother to come again? So my brother had, my son, my oldest son, my adult son had custody of him until one night, my baby was disrespectful to his wife. My son woke him up, spanked his butt. And I've learned since I've been home, he says, since that's how it started with his dad, he went and told the teacher the next day.
Oh, Lord.
From my son, charged him with child abuse and told him if he moved out of the home, they would drop the charges and let him stay there. He said, you want me to pay the house note, pay the bills to take care of him, feed him, clothe him, and I can leave my house? He said, no, y'all keep him. And see, I didn't know any of this until a social worker came to see me at the second prison I was at. Then they started the process of terminating my parental rights because there's some idiotic, archaic law that if a parent is incarcerated for 2 years or more, it's in the child's best interest to terminate the parental rights and make them eligible for adoption. Well, I wasn't going for it. I fought it. I had a jury trial. They written me out 5 times to Oakland County. And I wasn't supposed to mention that he was with his grandmother and that down in Tennessee, and that I had a clemency petition pending with the governor and all of that. They didn't want the jury to hear that. So, but you know, I let them know. So you tell my child I'm no longer his mother, you think he's a behavior problem. Now, he definitely will be. I said, he doesn't need to be made eligible for adoption. He's with his grandmother. She'll always be his grandmother. And she ended up putting him out. And
So
we
wait,
got
let's
a
fast
good
forward
voice.
a little bit, Anita. Let's fast forward a little bit. What was your relationship like when you got out? Because Michelle Pearson, you said you and your son don't have a relationship, but you just are able to check on him from afar. You all haven't spoken. Okay.
We've kind of spoken like, and I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, no matter who raised him, who schooled him, who nurtured him, at the end of the day, I'm mother.
Sure.
And I believe just from his demeanor that he will always give me the utmost respect, but I won't have it any other way, whether I raise you or not. I'm your mother and you will respect me, period. You know, I interact with other people's kids. You know, I was a mother at a young age because I was raising my sister and brother. So I believe I would have been a good mother had I been in different circumstances. But at this point in time, I just love on other people's kids and I pray for mine and just wish them well. In God's time, he'll come.
Right. Right. That's good. So, but Anita, what was that adjustment like? Because you were in contact with your boys when you got out, right? So what was that like reintegrating with them?
Well, when I came home, I was released to my son's apartment. He had an apartment out in Troy. And
Your oldest son.
my oldest son, right.
Okay.
My youngest was still in North Carolina, and he came up for a welcome home party that my oldest had given me. And then he decided to move up here. Now, he had a child down there in Virginia, but he decided to, and one on the way in North Carolina. And he decided to move up here to be with me. And I remember one day I had gotten on him about taking out the trash, and he didn't do it when I asked him to. And I said, look, boy, you go and respect me. He said, Mama, how can I respect you when I don't know you?
Ooh.
I said, well, you better get to know me quick, because I ain't.
Yeah.
So then the month before I got off parole, so 2 years later, my oldest son died of a pulmonary embolism, and I found him in the bath. Well, my youngest son was no longer living with us, but that's when he stepped up, because he knew Gregory was always there. He was always there for both of us. My son was an international networking instructor. He taught how to set up networks. And he even wrote 3 certification manuals for HP Hewlett Packard. And my youngest had not found his niche in life yet. That boy's gotten fired from more jobs than I've ever had. But he always finds him another job. He's a good man. He was always a good child, a good heart, but he has such a rough way to go because I was taken away from him.
How old is he now?
He's 29, just
Okay.
29.
Mm-hmm.
Last month. And now he's got another child. So he has 3 children. He's married now. His wife is a 2-year-old. Last year, all of us went down and we rented a van and we went down to North Carolina, Virginia, and picked up his son from North Carolina, his daughter from Virginia, and spent a week down there for the 4th of July. And the new baby and all of us, and we had such a good time. My family is rebuilding now because there's nobody left. I'm the only one of my siblings left. My parents are deceased.
All right.
All I've had is some first cousins that live, one in New York, one in Texas, and I have a niece that lives here.
Mm-hmm.
So my family has dwindled down to a precious few.
Well, so that's good. You all are staying together then and keeping it together, the few you have. So I wanted to ask, shift a little bit and ask Michelle Smart and Desiree, what prompted y'all to get into, and Coach Bankston, what prompted you to get into the areas that you're in now? I'll start with Michelle Smart.
So I can say this is totally not my background. I have a very good friend who I've known since 6th grade. Her daughter made a split-second decision and she's now incarcerated. She's actually expected home next month, but she was given a 7 to 15-year sentence. And at that particular time, or prior to that, I had started making handbags. I work with glass. I do a lot of fused glass and stained glass pieces. And I wanted to kind of shift away from that and learn to create wood, work with wood. And so I made these handbags, just prototypes. And then when I learned about my good friend's daughter, I wanted to kind of do something because she's a beautiful girl. I mean, absolutely wonderful girl. And that split second decision that she made has changed her life. And, my thought was, where are the job opportunities? What's life going to be like for her? And not just her, other women coming home from incarceration. What's life going to be like for them? So I wanted to do something that was going to help the situation. And then what I ended up doing was creating the bags. And we hosted a focus group with 7 women who had served between 5 and 30 years in prison, and just kind of, talk with them about some of the barriers that they were facing, because I had no knowledge of any of this stuff, and I'm still learning. And they said employment and housing were the barriers that they faced.
Right.
So we decided to tackle the employment issue, but we wanted to do it a little bit different. We wanted a creative environment, for one, because there are enough stresses out there and triggers out there, and when they come into our doors, we wanted them to kind of channel those, some of the challenges that they're facing into something creative. And so that's pretty much how the handbags came about. We were invited to a local church. So we worked through Oasis of Hope Christian Church on 7 Mile and Woodward. Pastor May allowed us to come there every other Saturday. And during this time, the ladies would create the handbags, and we were really just testing out the concept, but they gave so much input. I mean, from everything from where we're located at that time, we were just kind of getting a feel for where we wanted to go with this. They said, well, whatever you do, make sure there are plenty of windows. The ladies want to be able to look out. I mean, just everything that they were very instrumental in helping us to build and grow this program. So Michelle, I hope you don't mind if I share this, but when Michelle came home, she was referred to us. And when she came home, Michelle had the job. She was hired, but Michelle didn't start work for like 30 days. Now what typical employer is going to save a job for someone? You're hired, you don't show up for 30 days, but we had to meet Michelle where she was. And I call her every now and then, or she'd call me and say, hey, you know what? I'm not ready. I'm just not ready. And I said, well, Michelle, when you're ready, you let us know. And I think the first day Michelle came to work, I think I went out to pick her up, brought her to work. And, she wanted to just kind of check things out and see how things were going. And then I think we took her home, and then she said, well, Michelle, I think I want to take the bus to work. And then and then I think I picked you up from Fairlane the first time and then brought her. So it's baby steps. So we meet the ladies where they are, and we don't force the issue. We ask them what their needs are. And Michelle was very instrumental, very creative. I mean, we teach the ladies, they're working with their hands and channeling some of that energy into something positive and something creative.
I love it. Meeting, filling the void. I love how you are filling a void. Go ahead, Anita.
The thing about it is, supply and demand, right? Everybody knows about supply and demand. Well, women only make up about 4 to 5% of the prison population. There isn't much demand there. We always get the short end of the stick. So there aren't a lot of resources available for us when we come out. There's a lot of stuff for men, but not much for women. There are jobs for men, but not much for women. And I came to find out when I had to leave the apartment in Troy after my son died, that these big apartment complexes with the management companies, they don't allow felons in their complexes because their insurance companies will either drop them or raise their premiums so high because a felon is on their grounds, because they feel that it attracts crime.
Right. Well, where are they supposed to live, though?
Exactly.
Because an apartment seems like a sensible thing.
Exactly.
For a felon.
That's something that we as women have to seek out resources for women when we get out. Women aren't released at the rate that men are, okay? Because there are so many more of them. But the resources that we have are so short. That's why I'm so grateful to Michelle. Michelle has exposed these women to venues and people and experiences they never would have had an opportunity to do had they not met her. And there are other people out here in society that are doing things, that are creating things, that don't have an idea of how creative these women are that are incarcerated. I learned how to make jewelry while I was in there, and I've made some jewelry for myself.
And probably were talented even, right. Even before they went in, we're probably talented.
Yeah.
Right.
But that it was so hidden and smothered with all the cares of life and everything they had
And
to
trauma
to get by, and the trauma, absolutely. That, you know, it didn't come out, or they weren't able to walk in it until they got on the inside. And Michelle will tell you, now as creative as Michelle is, the women have come out and given her some creative ideas.
They do. They really do.
I
The
love it.
ladies are amazing.
But that's the thing. So many have been locked up for so very long. Not only do they need to get hooked into technology and the phones and all of that, they also need to understand, learn how to seek out resources. And there just aren't that many for women, especially women coming out of prison. So society as a whole, and especially women's groups, thank God Sister Kamala is in the White House. So
Hallelujah.
all these sororities, I would like to see sororities step up and create something to help these women get, not only matriculate back into society, but to reunify with their families. A woman cannot come out and just step into mothering after 20, 30 years in prison. Well, first of all, the kids are grown, okay? And we have to not only live as we live under someone else's roof, we live under their rules, but the household needs to be prepared as to how to reintegrate that person into the family.
Right.
You're related, blood is thicker than water, but there's an emotional thing that goes on while you're in there. I had to learn how to stop over-explaining myself when I do that, when I talk to people, because if you ask for a added roll of toilet paper after they've given you 4, you got to explain why you need another roll of toilet paper or another pack of sanitary napkins. I shouldn't have to explain that to you when you're a female guard.
Right.
But as a 40-year-old woman, or 45 or 50-year-old woman, I had to stand there and explain to a 22-year-old why I need another roll of toilet paper. So
it's just demeaning.
It's because of the conditioning, which is more power and control, which was just an extension of domestic violence, if you ask me. Because you had to learn to keep your head down, learn when to say things, learn when to hold them, when to fold them, learn when to speak up, because there are times when you can speak up. I did mine usually with the typewriter, and it was very effective.
So it's just another form of slavery in a way. It's for profit. Yep. Yeah. Go ahead, Desiree. Then I want to come to Coach Bankston. Coach China.
No, the 14th Amendment outlaws slavery except for those in prison. So it is slavery.
But so we're talking a whole lot about reentry and release and coming back to the world. And as I sit and listen to everyone on the panel, it reminds me of the work when I am working on legal teams and trying to establish reentry plans for our clients. And when we talk about things such as a lack of resources upon your return to the world, ID, social security cards, employment, housing, things like that, what people don't understand is that for folks up for parole, this is now a cycle, right? Because if you don't have an adequate reentry program, that alone will force you to be denied parole. So, well, what do I do? If for whatever reason I come from dysfunctional family members, I can't go live with them. That's triggering. That puts me back in the hood, in the community that got me in prison in the first place. I can't find work. I can't find a house. So the parole board is going to say, we'll see you in 5, 6, 7 years or whenever you're back up for parole. So it's just that heinous cycle of lack of resources and human conditioning, and that just has us wavering, and we're at the mercy of resources that aren't available to us.
Right. Or and talk a little bit, Desiree, I want to talk a little bit about some of the things we talked about on the phone about the justice system and about the courts and just some of the tedium that people don't realize that goes into a case. Like people don't realize why cases take so long
Right.
to be adjudicated in the court process. So talk about some of the different, I'm trying to remember some of the things we were talking about, but just some of the things that you've seen that keep that just work against people pretty much when
Right.
they're in the system. Because once you're in there, it's like you can't get out of it.
Right. What I find most is what works against the clients that I have seen is lack of education. And I'm not talking about school, right? I'm talking about sometimes we just don't know. If you don't know, you don't know. You don't know what to ask. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's safe for you to say, what isn't safe for you to say. Even something as simple, and these cops, they play these games. So you'll even have a police officer and he's detaining you. He may tell you you're not under arrest. I'm just detaining you. And say you're panicked. Oh my God, I haven't told my wife where I am. I haven't told my mom where I am. And then this officer says, oh, sit in the back of the car. You're not under arrest. Sit in the back of the car. Here's the phone. Call your mom, call your wife, let them know where you are. You're not really thinking. You're just like, oh shit, what do I do now? And so there's cameras in that police car.
Right.
So
And they're
now,
recording you.
absolutely. So you're in a panic mode and you're just thinking, I am simply calling home, letting my people know what's happening, right? But everything that you have said has been recorded. So, but you won't know that, right? So now they're using your own words, your own situations, your own conversation with your mama. Because if you call your mama or your wife and say, I'm in the back of the police car, what are they going to ask you? Why? What the hell happened? What did you do? And you're going to answer. So all of that you answer and you respond now becomes part of the evidence against you. And so those are some of the things.
Is that admissible? So they can, even though they can like use what they recorded, that's admissible?
Anything that you say. That's not a myth.
Even if I'm not being questioned, though, I'm just in the back of the car. You haven't taken me to the station to question me yet, though.
Anything that you say.
Can I piggyback on Desiree? I get what she's saying because I was 17. By law, they were supposed to have an attorney or a guardian there. They did not. They actually, 3 big white men actually put me in the interrogation room. One put his pistol on the table to see which hand I would grab it with. If I was a killer, I could have shot y'all. But because I spoke without an attorney, they held that even though I was a juvenile, they were not supposed to use it. They did.
Right.
When they say anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, they're not playing.
They mean
it absolutely will. It absolutely will. And it's those things that I find, or even Rocky, like one of the things you and I were discussing is that this is a newer trend that I don't know, maybe I'm just now paying attention to it, but something as simple like a gun charge, like on the state, if you're charged in the state court with a gun charge, 2, 5 years, whatever, you're out the door, right? But depending on that area that you were stopped in or found with that gun, it could be the feds just have been looking or patrolling that area or whatever. And that simple state gun charge can now become a federal gun charge because that gun is now violating interstate commerce, because although you are carrying in possession of that gun in Michigan, if that gun is manufactured in Kentucky, in Florida, in Mississippi, you are now in violation of federal law. And again, these are all caveats to the law.
Shit, who would know that?
You absolutely would not know that. You would not know. Like when you go to purchase your pistol, you don't say, excuse me, I'm a resident of, you know what I'm saying? Like
where was this made? Like who?
Absolutely. And whether you buy that pistol in the alley or at the gun shop, you just don't ask those questions. But that's one of the things that I see that is used against us.
To make another count.
To make another count, to make up evidence, because again, back to the situation when you're sitting in the back of the patrol car, they may not have any evidence against you. That's probably why they're telling you you're being detained and not arrested. But now that you called home and mama asked you what happened and you've told her, now they have some evidence.
Now they got evidence.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
okay. Ooh.
So
And not only that, women are sentenced to longer periods than men. One, I was told by my appeals attorney.
Or like the equivalent crime, you're saying?
For the
For like
same
the same
crime,
type
because they was
crime,
there
yep.
doing the same thing with the same
Honey,
folks and doing the same thing, everything. Same
women
place,
get
same time, same
sentenced.
crime. You know
Women
why?
are getting.
Yeah, you know why? Because number one, they feel like the woman is the mastermind. Number two, my appeals attorney told me that the bench is manned mostly by men. So when a man does something, it's like boys will be boys, but women are supposed to be sugar and
Right.
spice.
How dare she?
And if she does something, is they're
Right.
conniving, they planned it, it's
Right,
premeditated,
manipulated, right.
and they need to be removed from society. Men that kill women in domestic violence get an average of 6 to 10 years. Women that retaliate and kill in self-defense, what they don't consider it self-defense, oh, you could have left. If you waited 30 seconds, oh, that's premeditation. Then they want to give them all day and forevermore.
Oh my goodness.
And women can be charged and sentenced just from dating that dude.
Yeah.
So your dude is like, there is a case, I think it was in the Lansing area, there was recently a documentary on it. A woman, I think she was Hispanic. She dated a man, he was a drug dealer. He ended up dying or something. And then years later, even after his death, somehow they were able to charge her with drug and conspiracy charges related to her relationship with him.
That is crazy.
But another thing with women that I find is like, so let's say if I'm working a Fed case and I'm getting some information from my client's family and his girlfriend, and then I'm asking her, well, what happened when the feds came into the house? And she's like, well, they threatened to take my children away from me if I didn't talk and I didn't say this. And so in that moment, right, even if you don't know anything, if you have federal agents in your home saying to you, if you don't tell us something, we're going to take your children.
Right.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to make up something. And then now we have the situation, we done manipulated this woman into giving us information that may or may not be true just because we manipulated her. Now we run the risk of having 2, 3, 4, 15, 17, however many men are on that indictment, convicted and sentenced based upon some information that was manipulated out of this woman because she feared having her children removed.
So it's unscrupulous. Wait a minute, hold on. I know Coach Tanya, I know you have to leave soon. So I wanted to get your input on what are some of the mental and emotional gymnastics that you see women endure, like how it affects their lives and how you help coach them through it.
Well, I mean, it affects their lives in so many ways. First of all, we got to get past this myth of the strong Black woman syndrome.
Because I'm tired. I'm tired. Okay?
We got to get past that. I mean, the weight of the world should not be on the shoulders of a Black woman, period. We feel how we feel, and it's okay to feel what we feel. Sometimes, though, we need some help moving through those emotions, right? These women have been traumatized. They were traumatized before they were incarcerated.
Childhood trauma led to some
incarceration.
Right.
And then
childhood trauma led to them making,
and when
making decisions to be with certain people. Yeah.
The traumatization has continued. It's been continuous.
Right.
And who helps them? That's been my issue. And people want to take mental health and kind of like put it in a box and put it over to the side and not deal with it. But mental health affects everything. Everything about this has a connection to mental health.
Yeah.
I know for me, I got involved through through Michelle, there was another young lady who, because I have my own coaching agency, she was like, Tanya, I think you would be really good to connect with Michelle and to do some life coaching. And so I was able to create some modules to help the lady to integrate back into society. One of them was newfound freedoms. So what's new? And then we just talked about like society and some of the things that were new right there. One of them was called What I Like About Her. And we just were dealing with the self-esteem of that woman, not dealing with what other people say about her because she's been incarcerated, but how she's feeling about herself. Then there was Wholes to Wholeness, where we talked about the different, you remember that, Michelle, the different holes punched in your heart from all of the trauma. And we literally had heart cutouts, and we ripped and tore different pieces of our hearts based on experiences, life experiences. Then there was fairy tales, dreams, and goals. You know, what fairy tales did you have prior to your release? How everybody was going to welcome you and accept you and support you. What really happened?
Right.
You know, and then what are your goals for the future? How are you going to change things?
Right.
So, I mean, the biggest thing is that it's this myth that I have to be this strong Black woman. No, you have to be human, and you need to be supported by other humans. We're all going through this human experience. And let me just add this as well. Somebody just said to me that this whole COVID-19 is like a form of incarceration. And when I tell you, I jumped all over them. I said, wait a minute, hold on. First of all,
No.
it's nothing like incarceration.
Okay.
You may have to stay home. You have to restrict where you go and what you do, but it's not the same as being told what you eat, when you eat, how you eat. I mean, it's not the same.
Or that you can only have a 15-minute phone call.
Exactly. I'm like, it's not the same.
15 minutes.
Right.
How's this, that you can't go to the bathroom?
Exactly. Or like you just said, Anita, I need more toilet paper, or I need more sanitary napkins.
Right.
You know, I talked to Michelle earlier today. She was like, mental health? What mental health? You don't get mental health treatment when you're incarcerated. You get pills, or you get put in the psych ward. I mean, you don't get an opportunity to sit and talk to somebody and say, you know, I'm feeling like this, or I'm feeling like that. So
now I have to beg to differ. You do have an opportunity. However, is there competent help?
Okay.
I happen to have one competent counselor in there.
I didn't.
Excuse me, can I interject to Ms. Posey?
Yeah, it's not adequate.
Some people can get mental health, but I live that LIFE. When you're doing life, you're not offered mental health. You're not offered a therapist. They don't even allow them women to get a GED now.
Nope.
I know what I live. No, you cannot. And if you say the wrong thing, you're going to the mental ward on suicide watch because you are a threat to yourself.
Wait a minute. So So let explain that about your sentence. You said if you're a lifer, you don't get the same services, because they like, you gonna die in here anyway.
You don't, because
You're wasting time and money.
Exactly.
I guess because I had short time, I didn't receive those services either, because I didn't speak to a counselor while I was in there, and I probably definitely needed one, being that I was 16 years old.
I know I did, and I couldn't get one because I was told because I was doing life, and I got it in writing.
So wait a minute, next
Some
question.
people may have been privy to that, but as a lifer and a kid that suffered what I suffered, that has been abused all her life and suffered with PTSD, I couldn't get help. And I can't get it in this so-called society out here.
See, that's
What I get out here, Rocky, we just gonna be transparent about it. I get judged. I get talked about. I don't care what nobody thinks about me, because at the end of the day, I pick my head up and I do what I do. You don't walk my shoes. You don't live my life. You may live a life, but don't judge me by the life I live and who I am, because I am who I am and you're not me.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yep, and you haven't, so
Carol,
I wanna,
you talk to me
Michelle,
later.
share what, you said what, Anita?
I told Michelle to call me later because I'm gonna get
Y'all
you
need a
some help.
session, y'all need a session.
So no,
You
I
need a
I could
session.
have got you some help inside because I was that type of person.
Yeah,
know,
no,
I
but see,
stood-
that's good, I'm glad y'all connected, so.
I
Yeah.
stood up for
No, but what Caprice and Michelle are saying, that's more of the norm that I am seeing in my work. And again, back to me referring to those cycles. So that's more of that. So I'm probably from a poor family, how I am here, why, some of the reasons why I'm here. I want to do better. I want to educate myself, but because my sentence is either too long or too short, now I have to pay for my college tuition if that's what I want to do. So I have clients who are sitting in MDOC facilities right now, and their family are paying for them to attend college courses. So yeah, so they're now your family is struggling at home the same way I struggle at home to pay for my kids to go to school. But again, it's part of that cycle of choosing who and who does not have access to resources.
Right, and a lot of times because we're people of color, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Again, that's another layer added to it, and money, right? What they want to spend their money on.
Absolutely.
But I want to ask Michelle,
That's
how
Governor
did you
Engler's
get?
fault, because
You said what, Anita?
that's Governor Engler's fault, because when he was in office,
Shut down all those.
we had U of M, we had
Shut down a lot of mental health facilities.
community college, we had Spring Arbor where you could get a bachelor's degree and it was free to us. And I was taking a full load, and he stopped it in the year of 2000, saying that lifers did not need to get a degree. I mean, but there's more than lifers in there. I didn't have life.
Right.
So he stopped it. So they have a few college classes in there, but yes. And now they have no classes because of COVID. They can't have visits. They can't have classes. Nobody can get a GED. They can't even have groups.
I was going to say, just to kind of piggyback off what Coach Bankston said, so this is why for our organization, we partner with individuals and organizations like Coach Bankston, because we don't have all of the answers, and there are some things resources that the ladies need that we try and provide. Tanya came and she provided all of the workshops every other Saturday. And that was a requirement of their employment with Bags to Butterflies. They had to attend these sessions. We also partnered with Citizens Bank. They would come to our location, and each lady had a savings account open. They talked about, balancing their savings account and opening up this. They opened up the savings account right there on the spot. So each lady, when they left, they had a savings account. We also had a health and wellness coach who would come to our location. I know starting out, Jazz would have the ladies doing a little walk around the block. Then next thing they were lifting weights and doing yoga, but it was their health and wellness and their mental well-being was very important for them to, have stability, and not only at home, but in the workplace as well. So we provided those resources, and it was a great collaborative relationship that we've had with all of our, partners.
And Rocky, something else that Michelle did, I was so jealous because she had days where they would go to the spa and get their hair done.
Yes.
And their feet done.
Yes. Every woman deserves to be pampered.
Like,
yes.
Happen to inviting a coach on those days too. You just forget about me, the movie days. I was like, I like that too.
Right. I mean, so we did do that. That was part of our professional development. So the ladies, we would go get their hairstyle, their nails.
I need to work for you, Michelle. You
okay. We're not a traditional employer. I mean, the ladies got their work done, and one afternoon we decided to go to the movies. We wanted to see if Denzel was still the finest man. Everybody thought it was really hot. So one of the ladies had been away for a long time, and she hadn't been to a movie theater. So we took an afternoon and we went to see a movie.
Yeah,
so, that's lovely.
Yeah. So I mean, it was real life experiences that are needed. I mean,
just regular things that we wouldn't even. Wait a minute, I want to come back to what you said, Coach Tanya, about people saying a lot. It's like being incarcerated with the pandemic. That brings me back to Angela Davis, the activist, stated, "It burns her biscuits too when people say, 'Oh, we're on lockdown.'" No, y'all not on lockdown.
Right, that's right.
Because you can
have
still,
choices.
right, you still have a choice to come outside. You don't have someone telling you when to use the bathroom or as Michelle Pearson was explaining to me, you living in an environment where there's black mold and the food has maggots in it and just all of this inhumane things. So,
Right.
just those regular life experiences that we take for granted.
Right.
Being able to go to the store and doing a self-checkout, that's probably something that probably is new. And yeah, I wanted to come back to you, Michelle, because I wanted to ask, how did you were the lifer, but obviously there was a different life that God had for you because you are out. So how did you get out, even though you were sentenced to life?
The Montgomery versus Alabama, it ruled the United States Supreme Court, which I had the honor of marching to and sitting on their front steps, all of us, and saying, you release 799 years worth of life sentences, and there's more to come. I was honored to go to Washington, D.C. They changed the law that if you were 17 and younger, they ruled that it was cruel and unusual punishment to sentence a child to life without parole. So I was the first one to go in with life without parole, and I was the third one to come out under that. But I also want to tell you this, Desiree spoke on the parole board about anybody else's experience. But let me tell you something, that parole board is a farce. They hide behind a facade of, you go by what's in your PSI. If you told them, I didn't
PSI,
a pre-sentence investigation report, which comes from the court and the police with your statement and all
that. Hold on, let me interrupt you, Ms. Pearson. That is written with the purpose of making you look as pathological as they can possibly, because that PSI is written from someone from MDOC. So of course it's not going to be glowing and beautiful and paint you as who you are. I'm sorry, Ms. Pearson, go ahead.
No, thank you. I'm glad y'all put
the parole board that Desiree was talking about. Now, I have sat through numerous lifer interviews where they no interest or we ain't gonna consider you, we'll see you in 5 years. I was able to get past those. But when I actually got resentenced to 38 to 60 years, and I went in front of Sandra Woodchuck, or however you pronounce the name.
Sonia Woodchuck, yes.
That is the cruelest, most inhumane lady I have ever met.
Where does she serve? What court?
On the
parole board.
She's the parole board member.
Okay.
It clearly states, as we were talking about in my PSI, that I did not mean to kill my victim. It was an accident. The gun was messed up and all that. When we went to the parole board, she actually told my representative, you be quiet, I'll talk to you in a minute. I want to talk to her. She said, Ms. Pearson, so why did you kill your victim? And I told her, it was an accident. You think I want to hear that? You think I'm going to let you go and you tell me it's an accident so you can go out there and kill somebody else? I said, no, ma'am, that's not who I am. So she said, I'm going to talk to your representative. When my representative went to speak and to try and express my background that I had been through and how it actually happened, she's like, I don't want to hear that. So then she returned to me and said, Ms. Pearson, I'm going to give you exactly 30 seconds to tell me what I want to hear. I'm going to give you anywhere from a year to 18 months to reconsider your words. Tears flowed because I knew what this lady was asking me, and that's not who I am. I had to look this lady in her eyes. She asked me with eye-to-eye contact, why did you kill Miss Faber? I had to tell Miss Warchuck because I didn't want no witnesses. She said, now that's the truth. You were lying in court the whole time. That's what I need to hear. You'll get your decisions. I cried for 2 weeks waiting on a decision because I had to go against everything I stood for. So some might say, MDOC is this, and it's glorified. MDOC is a warehouse housing us like animals. The truck that the food came on said, not fit for human consumption. I'm telling you, Huron Valley Women's Prison is not fit for human living. And if you research it, it's on the internet as condemned, but they have it under construction. They're warehousing us and they're telling the taxpayers, oh, we're paying good money for their food. We're giving them their uniforms. No, they're not. We're lucky if we get one pair of pants, one pair of shorts or a shirt. We're lucky if we get pads and tissues. We literally had to steal it, if you will. We had to pay people to steal us uniforms and panties and bras if we wasn't blessed enough to have people to send us money. So I don't know how most live, but I know what I lived and I know what I seen and I wrote about it.
Mhm.
I have a book that's being published. I have my poetry of the nightmare I lived. I know my demeanor is not always good, but I stand for what I believe and I believe for what I stand, and I don't fall for nobody because I'm not going to fall for anything. I'm going to speak and I'm going to speak until I'm heard and the women in there get justice.
Because this is the only prison for women that's still open now, Huron Valley, the only one in the state of Michigan.
Yes, we had Scotts, we had Western Wayne, we had Florence Crane, which was in Coldwater, and we had Huron Valley.
They all
closed down
closed.
and put us back in a condemned one.
The only one is open.
It has to be overcrowded. Because I know you all said
They
that
got
our
women
offices were turned into.
They have women sleeping in closets that's literally smaller than my living room I'm sitting in. You got women in closets that may be as big as my living room. And there's 6 to 8 to 10 of us in there, 12 of us. I was in a 6-man and an 8-man cube, and it was hell. You had people that didn't want to bathe. You had people that was breaking out with scabies. You had people that was getting nurses. You didn't know what you could and couldn't touch in healthcare. Oh, send me a kite. You was lucky if you got in to see him. I laid in my bed for 2 weeks coughing like I had a room full of pit bulls. When I was finally taken out, every lung in my body was covered with bacteria and pneumonia. And had they not got me out, I'd have died on that bunk like my friend Ava Simpson just did, and they could have saved her.
And Debbie Starr.
And I can't even imagine with COVID, it's even worse.
And there's like 2,500 women there housed there, right? Or
The
over.
capacity is 1,500.
I mean, the
the only
facility.
women's facility in Michigan for women, they have turned counselors' offices, storage closets with no windows, conference rooms, day rooms into cells and barracks.
Right.
Women to
I
live
mean,
in.
even the waiting room, like when you first walk into the facility, is dirty and unkept and has mold. And this is the waiting room. This is where you wait. This is where I wait when I have to go into the facility. This is where your families have to wait when they come to visit you at the facilities. And if the waiting room, if the waiting area is like that, what do we? Absolutely. Then what are the showers
It's
like?
just like Desiree.
Oh my God, please.
Rocky, they told them since COVID has been in there that their disinfect, their citrus, their bleach, all that is supposed to be potent to clean. They're still getting watered down bleach. Their disinfect is watered down. It's not strong enough to pick up the simplest dirt that we get off our floor with a mop. They said the officers is taking and cleaning their area and very rarely giving it to the women. They can't call me, but they're J-paying me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They got 2 J-pays of people being reinfected because of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Oh, it's
God.
horrible.
So ladies, let's talk about some solutions. What are some programs out here? Michigan Liberation. So Michelle, so Bags to Butterflies. Let's start with you, Michelle Smart. Where can people find Bags to Butterflies?
So Bags to Butterflies is currently located on a farm in Detroit. We're really excited about our new location because we can offer some more sustainability for the ladies. They have access to free food. During the summer, we're going to have an open garden. So we're really excited about some of the new opportunities that we're going to have available. But we are located on the north end of Detroit on a farm, part of Oakland Avenue Urban Farms.
Okay, Coach Banks. I don't know what you say.
I haven't seen it yet.
You're welcome.
I have. It's really nice.
I love it. So people, they can follow you at Bags to Butterflies.
Yep, on our Facebook page is Bags to Butterflies.
Okay, and people can find information about the farm there as well?
Yeah. And on our website, bagstobutterflies.com.
Awesome, awesome. And so Coach Tanya, where can people find you?
People can find me at CoachTBankston.com. That's my website.
And that's for life coaching and...
Yes, and I'm also a mental health therapist. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, so therapy or coaching, one or the other.
Okay, right. You need both. You need Jesus and therapy, okay?
That's right.
Right. Right. And so Caprice, I want you to talk about your books.
Sure.
Which the second part she gonna let me edit.
Uh-oh.
Her parts. She's working on her second book. But
Our first book
tell us about your book.
My first book is called All My Life I Had to Fight. It's an autobiography. It talks a lot about the trials and tribulations, the trauma that I endured, getting jumped on, getting bullied everywhere I went, movies, mall, it didn't matter. The school, gangs, wherever I went, I got into a fight and I got jumped. I talk a lot about that. I talk about going to college. I also have a master's degree in counseling. I have my LLPC.
All right. Yes.
Not doing anything with it, but I have
You
it.
got
Not now, but you will be
You
after
got
this
it.
show.
Right.
You will be.
I don't have it.
Your arsenal.
So my second book is called Never Gave Up. And it's a mini twist. I purposely left out a chunk of time when I caught the case, how I caught the case, that whole day, what that day was like. I talk about that in the second book, and that's called Never Gave Up. It's actually, like Miss Rocky says, it's in the editing process right now. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired of editing it. I'm ready to just publish it.
No,
I want
you gonna do it till we get it right. That first draft. Hey, Coach Tanya, we need to get her to the Red Ink Conference. Let me tell you,
That's right.
it's gonna be 6 or 7 times, maybe 12 that you edit that book to get it right.
That's
right. That's right. So I'm excited about that. It's both of these are my babies. It gave me something to look to because I used to be, my last job, I was an academic advisor at Wayne State University, and I got into a real bad car accident, had back surgery. So I have plates and screws in my back. And when I tell you guys, that altered my life in itself. And now I'm considered this stay-at-home disabled mother. And when I tell you I needed something because I felt myself slipping, instead of going to get counseling, I started trying to counsel myself. And remember, I was telling you about that, like I would counsel myself. And so this book gave me life. It gave me life, you guys. It really did. And Miss Michelle, Miss Pearson, write your book, baby. Write your story.
That's right.
Because then you
That's
know what?
right.
It's a form of therapy. It ends up being a form of therapy. And it's a way to your healing. And I know for me, it's a way to my healing. Like a lot of people say, Caprice, you never forgave yourself. You know, what you did was self-defense and you had to defend yourself. And I know that, but I wasn't able to forgive myself because it was never my intent to kill that girl. It was never my intent to kill her, you know? And so I dream about it, I sleep, I eat it, I relive it. I never forget my number 234-976. And I have not been a prisoner since 1996. I cannot forget that number. It's like a second social security number. You know what I'm saying? So like, for me, it's like, when does the healing actually take place? Will I ever be healed?
Yeah.
Or will I forever walk around with this crown on my head crooked a little bit because of what I did? So,
We're gonna help you straighten it out.
Just that.
We're gonna help you straighten it out. You got ladies here. We're gonna help you straighten it out. You got therapists, you got mama here, you got, and then especially since you're a therapist, we all online now. Start counseling people online. Yeah, you can counsel people online. They ain't gotta come to you. So we gonna work on it. I'm gonna be bugging you too. So
I'm so happy to meet all of you, and I thank you for this opportunity of sitting on your panel.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Tell them where people can get your book.
It's at Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon, and it's also on Kindle.
Okay, good. Okay, Michelle, where can people find you? Michelle Pearson.
They can go on my email, which is Pearson, Pearson, Yvonne, YVONNE, 746@gmail.com, or they can reach out to miliberation.org and they will notify me. I am justice advisor. We fight mass incarceration. I fight for the rights of juvenile lifers. We do Black Mother's Day bailout, but our whole intent right now is fighting to get life of juveniles and lifers, period, off the table.
Love it, love it. Okay. And Anita, your organization, Battered Women's Awareness, Reaching Everyone,
Yeah.
specifically for survivors of domestic violence.
Yeah.
Will tell us about where people can find that.
Well, as you can see, here's the website is www.bware-ipvp.org. And the BWARE is Battered Women's Awareness, Reaching Everyone. The IPVP is Intimate Partner Violence Prevention. I do public speaking in all venues, telling people about my story and the things that I've learned through hours upon hours of training and experience that I've had. I do peer counseling. And since I've been out here in society for the last 9 years, and I have a history, my work history is with social services. I was a caseworker then, so I'm always used to helping people. I've got an arsenal of resources in all types of areas: housing, affordable housing, where they can get clothes, food. I work at the Homeless Action Network of Detroit, which is the lead agency over all homeless agencies and service agencies in Detroit, Hamtramck and Highland Park. And I know people like Michelle and Tanya and a plethora of other people that through ministry. I go to Rock Church International on Whittier between Harper and Kelly. We have an amazing pastor there, a young man in his early 40s, mid 40s, but he's in touch with the times, and his mission is to teach the word of God with simplicity and understanding so that we can use the instruction booklet and walk out our lives in it, just like you'd read an owner's manual for your car. So I've got a lot of resources there, job resources, Chance for Life, which is headed by Tom Adams and Jessica Taylor, which was also in the prison that I got in there in 2013, I believe, no, 2011, sorry. And they teach critical thinking, victim sensitivity, how to become an effective leader, and all those types of things. So if you want to reach me, 248-906-8143. That's a Google Voice number, so you will need to announce your name. I'm on Facebook at Battered Women's Awareness, Reaching Everyone. Instagram, Battered Women's Awareness, Reaching Everyone. Or just look me up. Also, you can go to YouTube and pull up that Twisted Storytellers, put in Anita Posey, and you can see my story. My book should be coming out next year probably, and it's called Little Did I Know.
Okay, well, hold on, Michelle Pearson, right quick. We running low on time. Desiree, where can people find you? And I want to also thank everyone who's watching on Facebook, Divas Corner, Roia, Lisa Yvette Jones. Thank you all for tuning in. Samantha Van. Thank you, everyone who's watching. Desiree, where can people find you for Sunshine Investigations?
You can find me on Facebook. Sunshine Investigations has a Facebook page, or you can also just request my personal page on Facebook. Sunshine's office number is area code 313-888-9998. Let me say it again, because that's weird. It's 313-888-9998.
Yes. Okay, Michelle Pearson, were you taking that down?
Yeah, please. I got her.
Okay, please. I want you and Desiree to connect. Please.
No, real seriously.
I'm looking you up now. I am. I promise.
We're not playing. No, we not. Michelle, okay. One last thing. We're gonna end with Michelle, and then we gotta close out.
To Tanya Bankston, I love you. You have been my coach, my mentor, my counselor. You have been my strength. Thank you. Michelle Smart, thank you for all the days at the spa, lunch, movies, just the talks that we had, the tears that we shared, the job and the skills that you gave me. I have mad respect and love for you, and I'm always here whenever you need me.
Thank you, Michelle.
I love it. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back on February 18th. kind of continuing. I didn't even mention anything about Black History Month. Lord forgive me, but the thing
That's
is,
'cause
I celebrate Black History every day. That's
Right.
why I started. You know, I'm like, I can't get in the mind of February Black History Month because I'm like, I'm about Black history every day. Okay. So, but I thank everyone for watching. Thank you, ladies. Again, I am honored. And this is not goodbye. This is see you later. Please, let's keep in contact. And if it's okay, I'll share your phone numbers amongst each other because I want you to please stay connected. Caprice, you are not a stay-at-home mom. It's time to get that ergonomic chair from Amazon so you can start doing them counseling sessions online. Get that second book written. Come on now. Yeah, so I will, if it's okay, I'll send you all each other's phone numbers and you all can please connect.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for watching Rocky's Reality, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye, ladies.